Papers have been laid. Question.
Yes, Honourable Leader of the Opposition, your private notice question.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I've given notice, the following private notice question addressed to Dr. the Honourable Prime Minister, Minister of Defence, Home Affairs and External Communications, Minister of Finance, Minister for Rodrigues and Outer Islands. Whether in regard to assaults, he will, for the benefit of the House, obtain from the Commissioner of Police information as to the number of reported cases thereof since January 2025 to date, indicating the number of fatal ones, A. B. Arrests effected in connection therewith, further indicating if suspects are habitual criminals and or suspected of having committed same whilst on bail in respect of other offences or whilst on release on parole. C. Such assaults perpetrated on police officers in the line of duty, and D. Unresolved cases. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Yes, Honourable Prime Minister.
Yes, Madam Speaker. With your permission, I would like to put this PNQ in context, and I would like to remind the House of the chaotic situation prevailing in the police department when we assumed office in November 2024. As the population will recall, the former Commissioner of Police had become la risée de la nation mauritienne by his acts and doings characterized by malfeasance and incompetence, to say the least. As I said before, during the past decade, the police force was turned into a textbook example of institutional decrepitude. The House will recall the scandalous conversations revealed by the Moustache links, where the population found out into its disbelief that the headquarters of the police force was no longer at the Caserne Portly, but in Angus Road, Bakwa. It is not, Madam Speaker, surprising, as we are witnessing since November 2024, how a much broader Machiavellic strategy was put in place to undermine the independence and integrity of our institutions with the sinister motive of exerting absolute control over them. Just like some tin pot dictators, they were hell-bent on transforming our country into an état voyou without caring about the law and order situation. They were more interested in satisfying the unsatiable greed for money. I should also like to refresh the memory of the Leader of the Opposition, how the previous Commissioner of Police, with the blessings of the Minister of Interior, the then Minister of Interior, undermined the office of the then Director of Public Prosecutions, Mr. Satyajit Boulel, an act unprecedented in the history of the Commonwealth. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition would also recall how the government, of which he was himself a prominent member, attempted to arrest the former Director of Public Prosecution, Mr. Satyajit Boulel. This was clearly a political act to intimidate him and curtail his independence of action. We recall the abhorrent tactic by the then Commissioner of Police by bypassing the Attorney General's office and the office of the Director of Public Prosecutions for criminal proceedings before our court of law. The Commissioner of Police instead retained the services of counsels and attorneys from the private practice, from the coterie of lawyers and attorneys at the service of the MMM, and the King's Counsel from the UK for a total amount of 14,288,825 rupees, a totally unprecedented and unheard practice. Unbelievably, the CP even the Commissioner of Police even sued the DPP.
I'm sorry, did you say the MMM or did I not?
MSM.
Okay.
MSM, never the MMM.
No, I know, but there was a slip
Was it?
There was a slip of your tongue.
Was it? Oh, I'm
sorry to have stopped you.
Yeah, no, don't worry.
I just checked everybody heard MMM.
It's good you remind people that it's the MSM. It was clearly done. All this was clearly done to undermine the professional integrity of the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions and other relevant institutions. I leave it to members of the House to ask the question why and at whose behest all these principles were restored to. The revelations regarding the issue of reward money and the allegations of drug planting targeting members of the civil society critical of the then government gives us an idea of the political weaponization of the police force under the previous regime. The involvement of the former Commissioner of Police and his closest collaborators at the helm of the force have sent shockwaves in the nation. Madam Speaker, we find ourselves today in the shameful position where a former Commissioner of Police, 2 Assistant Commissioners of Police, a Superintendent of Police, 2 Assistant Superintendents of Police, a Police Sergeant, other subordinates are currently on bail under charges of embezzlement and corruption of a magnitude never heard before. Madam Speaker, that was the putrescent state of the police force that the previous government bequeathed to the nation. Today, fortunately, that era is behind us. We are restoring direction, discipline, and dignity within the police force. The days when the command of the police echoed from private addresses rather than les casernes are well over. Madam Speaker, when my government came to office, we took a firm and unequivocal stand that the police force must once again embody integrity, fairness, and professionalism. We are modernizing the police through the revival of the National Policing Strategic Framework built around 6 key pillars: community policing, respect for human rights, leadership development, intelligence-led operations, strategic planning, and stronger reactive capacity. Madam Speaker, since his appointment in November 2024, the Commissioner of Police has injected new energy and discipline into the force. His leadership has been guided by professionalism and fairness, and his actions have already produced tangible results. Madam Speaker, the offense of assault, as defined under Section 2281, subsection 1 of the Criminal Code, is such that any person who willfully inflicts any wound or blow or is the author of any other violence or assault shall, if such an act of violence has caused any sickness or incapacity for personal labor for more than 20 days, be punished by imprisonment and a fine not exceeding 100,000 rupees. In regard to an aggravated assault, the penalty can go up to 20 years of penal servitude. Madam Speaker, with regard to Part A of the question, from January 2025 to the 10th of October 2025, I am informed by the Commissioner of Police that the number of reported cases of assault is as follows. Simple assaults, 4,247. Assault with premeditation, 112. Wounds and blows causing death without intention to kill, 1. Assault against an agent of civil authority, 104. Attempt at murder, 24. Murder, 24. In spite of the impression that is being created, the statistics for this year clearly show a decreasing trend in the commission of such offences as compared to the previous years. The total number of fatal ones, comprising murder and wounds and blows, causing death without intention to kill is 25. Madam Speaker, with regard to Part B of the question, I am informed by the Commissioner of Police that the number of arrests in connection with those cases is 1,185. The number comprises 108 habitual criminals. The number of persons suspected to have committed the offence whilst on bail or whilst on release on parole is 100. Madam Speaker, in regards to Part C of the question, I am informed by the Commissioner of Police that there have been 95 cases of assault on police officers. As regards Part D of the question, I am informed that 24 of the 25 fatal cases, that is from January to October 2025, have already been resolved. Thus, there is only one case where the investigation is ongoing. This constitutes a success rate of 96%. I wish to inform the House that over the period 2015 to 2024, there are 6 unresolved cases, including the mysterious death of a well-known MSM political agent, Mr. Supramanya Krishnan. The case remains unresolved as at date. However, I have commissioned the services of expert homicide detectives from overseas to review the inquiries pursued by the police into the unexplained death of Mr. Supramanya Krishnan. Those experts visited Mauritius for several weeks to carry out the review. They have reported, and as we suspected, that the initial police investigations and inquiries were seriously deficient. Critical evidence from the scene was not preserved. It appears even destroyed. Important lines of inquiry were not followed up. Ask yourself why. A judicial inquiry by a senior magistrate was done, and look, it was in the papers. I'm quoting from that, but it is from that. It says, I consider the conduct of the police in this case to be abhorrent. The manner in which the inquiry was conducted fell so below what can be considered reasonable that it marks a new level of incompetence. That is what the magistrate said. After the initial review, that is the overseas experts, which has included seeking the expert opinion of an international forensic scientist specialist specializing in death by fire. I can inform the House that the investigators have concluded there are sufficient indications to conclude that the death of Mr. Supramanya Krishnan was neither accidental nor self-inflicted, but he was indeed murdered. Government will not allow the murderers to rest undisturbed in their beds. I can announce that the investigation into the unlawful killing of Mr. Supramanya Krishnan will be formally reopened next month, and that the government intends to introduce legislation soon to permit, in certain limited and controlled circumstances and in matters of great public interest, the use of specialists and expert investigators from abroad. I am informed, Madam Speaker, by the Commissioner of Police that cases of fatal assaults are resolved on an average within 48 hours. This in itself is an indication that the authorities are well coordinating their efforts on the ground to elucidate such heinous crimes. Since my government came to power, and with the appointment of the new Commissioner of Police, there has been a major overhaul in the police department to render it more efficient. Of course, there is room for further improvement. When it comes to law and order, we cannot remain complacent because, as we always say, un crime, c'est un crime de trop. In the last case of murder which shocked us all was in Beji-Tombo recently, on the 2nd of October. It was that of a businessman who was brutally murdered by 5 suspects, including his own son, who was apparently the mastermind. The case was resolved within 24 hours by the major crime investigation team, and those suspects arrested. The downward trend is the result of the measures taken by the Commissioner of Police to ensure effective enforcement of law and order, public safety, crime prevention, emergency response, and victim support. I have previously enumerated the measures that have been taken and those which will be implemented in my reply of PNQ of the 19th of June of this year. Amongst others is the setting up of a national crime agency and the introduction of a police and criminal justice bill. Madam Speaker, my government will leave no stone unturned to bring efficiency in the police. As I said earlier, we have already initiated a number of actions to achieve that objective.
Thank you. Your first supplementary, please.
Speaker, and I hope that I shall be given enough time to put my supplementary
we'll
question.
do our best. But
My
go
first,
straight to your question, please.
yes, my first supplementary question, Madam, is with regard to the figures that the Honourable Prime Minister has shared to the House. And when I refer some of the figures, the situation is quite alarming. I can see that we have, from the figures given, 15 cases of assaults per day, and as 10 police officers assaulted per month. That's why I'm saying that the situation is alarming. Now, Madam Speaker, since my last PNQ on the subject, I believe we all agree that the situation on the streets has worsened. For the month of September only, we have cases of assault in the metro, domestic violence, a case of murder, and even the use of firearms and assault with offensive weapons in the premises of a hospital. And the Honourable Prime Minister informed the House. What additional measures is he planning to take to curb that situation prevailing with regard to law and order in the country?
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition might be surprised to learn. I've given the figures, but if you were to compare these figures to last year when you were in power, let me remind you, simple assaults, I said 4,247.
Yes.
2024, you know how many it was? 5,458. Over 1,000 more, 1,300 more. Assault with premeditation was I quoted, 112. In 2024, it was 143. As for assault against an agent of civil authority, I said 104. 2024, it was 133. Let me say this also. We will bring legislation. It is unacceptable that someone should be allowed to assault a police officer. That is something that we will have to address. We will have to tighten the law. That is totally unacceptable. As for murder, attempted murder was, I said 24. It was 25 in 2024. As for murder, 24 this year so far, compared to 35 in 2024. That's why I said there is an impression. But when you look at the figures, it was much, much worse. And I've enumerated, I don't want to go through it, you will say I'm taking time. I've said what are the measures we are taking. As I said, this is always there is room for improvement. Un crime, c'est un crime de trop. But still, we are moving towards that.
Your second question.
Yes, thank you, Madam Speaker. In a reply to a supplementary question from my colleague, Honourable Adrien Duval, last Tuesday, the Honourable Prime Minister said, I quote, he does not want to give the impression that we are a police state because our country attracts tourists. Is the Honourable Prime Minister aware that even tourists are being attacked and robbed in broad daylight? For example, yesterday, 2 tourists were attacked at the Promenade Doge in Port Louis. Will he therefore agree that if we cannot protect our tourists, Madam Speaker, this will give a very bad reputation to our country, and we will have to face.
Again, I said to the Leader of the Opposition, as if nothing happened, no tourists were attacked for the last 10 years. As I said, there is room for improvement. We are tackling, the Commissioner of Police is looking into all this. When I said I don't want to give the impression that it is a police state. But we are using the SMF, we are doing these routine checks and all these are going on, but not to as if everywhere over the whole island. We are changing spots from time to time.
Third question, please.
Yes. Madam Speaker, in my last PNQ, the Honourable Prime Minister mentioned the lack of police officers in the force. While today we are asking police officers to register dogs, may we know where matters stand regarding recruitment of new police officers?
As I said, I think the Leader of the Opposition didn't hear me last time. We have just recruited I can't remember a whole batch of new police officers. And we are in the process of saying, but we have to do one thing. We want police officers to deliver also. We want people to respect police officers, but the rogue police officers, we will get rid of them.
Madam Speaker, and this is confirmed, Madam Speaker, as per my information, more and more police officers in the force are dejected with the present situation. May we know what proposals have been made by the Office of the Prime Minister to the PRB and the DFSC to improve working conditions of police officers, that is, hours of work, equipment and salary?
I know the Commissioner of Police is putting order. Of course, some people won't be happy when he's putting order. You can't just decide to work on a Sunday just to get extra money. He's putting order on all this. Reward money. You're stopping this. You're stopping this. We can't give reward money like it did. You saw how many millions? You must have been shocked yourself. Because you were not the Home Minister. I don't think you were.
Another question?
Yes.
You got 10 minutes left. 10 minutes.
Yeah,
Okay?
I've got a lot of questions. Many units such as the SSU, the SMF are still underutilized, Madam Speaker, despite the answer given by the Honourable Prime Minister to my first PNQ on the same subject matter. Will the Honourable Prime Minister consider deploying these special units now across the country in order to stop this crime wave prevailing in the country?
This is what I said earlier, Madam Speaker. I did say that the Commissioner of Police is looking. Don't forget what the Constitution says, Section 71. I can give general direction, but it is for the Commissioner of Police to determine the use and control of his force. And he's doing it. That I'm satisfied.
Okay.
Yes. The Honourable Prime Minister in his reply made mention about PACE, that is the Police and Criminal Evidence Bill. Can we, Honourable Prime Minister, finally have a time frame?
I might have to remind the leader of the police that I brought the then Attorney General, Mr. Razak Pirou, on my demand. We worked very hard on it, and we brought the Police and Criminal Evidence Act here in Parliament. It was read the first time. There were some queries by the then DPP, and then the election came. That bill had been already read the first time. Now you had 10 years in government. The bill was there. You never brought that bill. And now you're asking me for time. You can see for yourself.
Yes?
In a reply to a question last Tuesday again, the Honourable Prime Minister stated that he would consider the use of body cam by prison officers. Will he consider extending same to police officers?
Yes, we actually are.
Good.
Will the Prime Minister also consider introducing in our penal system the use of electronic bracelets for habitual criminal and sexual offenders?
That I think, as far as I remember, it had already been started, but we will definitely extend that. As I said, Madam Speaker, we inherited a police force totally upside down. So we can't do everything at one go. I don't have the magic wand, as I keep saying. But this also is being considered.
Madam Speaker, the Honourable Prime Minister cannot indefinitely blame the previous government. He's been in office for the past almost a year now, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the very existence of gangs in the country, such as Mauritius, is not acceptable. We have specialized units such as the JPM, the Marcos at our disposal. Will the Honourable Prime Minister consider conducting dedicated operations to dismantle gangs and put the perpetrators behind bars once and for all?
As the Deputy Prime Minister reminded me, there is no striking team there anymore. But, each unit has its own protocol, and when you use it, for example, JPM, they have their own protocol, but we are looking at all this.
Now, Speaker, since the case of assault that occurred in the Metro Express, can the Honourable Prime Minister inform the House if police presence in the Metro and at Metro Station has increased, and what solid measures have been taken to protect at the same time the commuters and the employees of the transport sector?
I did say that I addressed that question in the past. The problem is, Madam Speaker, as you've seen, the FCC is asking for more police officers to do their work because there are so many people have stolen from the previous government that we have to look for people. And they have to be trained. We can't just take a man from the street and say, become a policeman. They have to be trained.
With regard to firearms, Madam Speaker, will the Honourable Prime Minister consider conducting a national survey and a crackdown operation on illegal possession of firearms? And if yes, how does he intend to proceed?
On legal ones? Legal or illegal ones? Yes.
Yes, that we had done before when I was Prime Minister. We're going to do it again. It is being done. Others say we can't do everything at one time, but there are some people very close to you who have been shown to have
Fishy. I heard a comment with regard to Fishy. Can the Honourable Prime Minister confirm to the House whether the revolver used at Grand Bay was one with a silencer?
How will
I be able to say
How
that?
will he know?
Speaker, it is something very serious, Madam Speaker.
No, but some
Many
things-
of our senior citizens, some even of foreign nationality, have been brutally attacked in their homes. Will the Prime Minister consider a special desk in all divisions across the country to assist those persons, such as regular visits or exchanges, Madam Speaker?
One of the reasons this is happening, because under the previous regime, drugs were available everywhere.
Yeah.
The case of the unfortunate case of Bejitombu, the son who was arrested, he was looking for money to buy drugs. This is the origin of the problem.
Let me come to
Perhaps, one moment. Maybe you want to consider this special desk?
I would love to
Interesting.
discuss this with the Commissioner of Police.
Yes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Based on the figures provided by the Honourable Prime Minister himself, assaults seems to be a daily occurrence. And we have not even spoken about crimes related to drug trafficking and drug use. But I will come to that at a later stage. 1 year down in his mandate, is the Prime Minister satisfied with measures that have been taken by his government to fight crime in this country?
I thought I explained all this at the beginning, Madam Speaker. We have results to show, compared figures. We have, for example, I gave you a figure on this crime, 96% success. Never happened under your government.
2 minutes left. 2 minutes
Got
left.
one last question for
Yes.
the Prime Minister. I come back to what I said last time in my PNQ. Can the Honourable Prime Minister inform the House when does the present contract of the Commissioner of Police come to end, and whether he intends to renew his contract?
This is too early for me to say that. He's doing his work. Let him do his work.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, both of you.